If you're showing up on LinkedIn and you want to become the only person or brand that your ideal clients consider, well, then this LinkedIn Live is for you. And stay tuned right until the end because I'm going to share some nuggets that I've picked up from my mentors who've worked with Warren Buffett's company. He's like one of the fucking biggest billionaires in the world, and one of my mentors who's worked with Steve Jobs, right? So, these are some nuggets I'm going to share with you today about how to become the only option for your ideal clients on LinkedIn. And not just LinkedIn, this stuff will work in other places too. So, the first thing is that when you're at multiple six figures and you're growing and scale your business, it's not about trying to become it's not about trying to get more clients per se. It's about becoming the category leader so that high ticket clients seek you out. Interestingly, one of my clients recently posted in one of my communities and said that she has been approached by a guy who's the CEO of a company. And this is a company that she applied to work at a number of years ago and he didn't give her the job, but he has personally sought her out to coach him now. And like, what a shift that's been, right? So for her, she has been sought out by this guy who's running a fucking company and is totally her ideal client. And that's the kind of thing that happens when you position yourself as a thought leader and as a category of one. So the first thing is, in terms of your one-liner, is to put your brand to the test and check if it's memorable. And why this matters is because when you're networking on LinkedIn, when you build a following on LinkedIn, if people can't explain what you do in one sentence, you're forgettable. And I had Ian Golding on the Master Your Business podcast a while ago, and I love how Ian describes this because what he says is there's three things that can happen when somebody engages with your brand, and they don't need to be a client for this engagement to happen. And Ian Golding has worked with some of the world's biggest brands about customer experience, right? So what Ian says is there's three things that can happen is that people will remember the experience and it'll be good. People will remember the experience and it'll be bad. Or the worst thing that can happen is people don't remember the fucking experience at all and it's totally unforgettable. We don't want that to happen to your brand. We want your brand to be so fucking shit hot that people remember it. Now, it can be shit, and people will remember it, but geez, at least they remember it. And very often what I see happens is people who are getting stuck on their way to six figures is they're trying to be, I don't want to say PC, that's not the right word, but they're not bold enough. Whereas the people who are ready to hit seven figures, they don't give a shit about what people think. They have firm, solid views and they are openly talking about them. And it's those people who are the thought leaders who are standing out and they have clients coming inbound constantly because they're fucking opinionated. And if you're trying to be PC and be liked by everyone, you will end up in that forgettable category because you want people to either like you and accept you or hate you and reject you. But either of those, you'll be memorable. And one of the things that you can do is put your one-liner or like your headline statement to the test and see is it memorable. So like it could be your I help statement. If you've not heard about an I help statement, it's I help whoever your ideal client is achieve a specific outcome without a common pain point. So I help X achieve Y without Z. That would be how I would describe it. If your I help statement is like anyone else's or everyone else's, well, then you're going to end up competing on price instead of your authority. And unfortunately, competing on price means a race to the bottom. Not good. Think fucking Ryanair, right? Not good. Whereas high ticket clients will pay for clarity and confidence. And if you come across like you are fucking owning this shit, people are going to buy into that because they want somebody who comes across as confident. They don't want somebody who comes across as uncertain or doubtful. And you might have all the fucking doubts going on in your head. And let me tell you, clients I've millionized have all the fucking doubts going on in their head. They're just at a different level. and they are not afraid to take bigger risks. And I've recently been listening to a book because I'm doing a new advanced coaching diploma with neuroscience. And one of the books in the recommended reading list was called The War of Art, not The Art of War, The War of Art. And it's by a guy called Stephen Pressfield. And Stephen wrote another few books, The Legend of Bagger Vance. You might remember seeing the movie. The movie came out about that. Really good movie, definitely worth a watch. Moral of the story is in the book, Stephen talks about this. And I've heard this so many times. It's like a lot of the people who are stuck on their way to making their first 100K and to building that thought leadership in terms of their brand, they're in that gladiator arena, but they're sitting in the audience. They're not on the arena floor taking punches, spilling blood. They're not fucking down there. And you can't win at the gladiator arena if you're not willing to take punches. You have to put yourself out there. So if you're vague or if you're not really stepping in there and wearing your gladiator, taking on your power as your gladiator, you're going to be literally sitting in the sidelines, hoping that people will come to you and, maybe screaming for the gladiator, shouting for the gladiator, cheering the gladiator on, but you're not the gladiator. Okay? So be a fucking gladiator, get into the arena. Yeah, interesting, right? And it literally what Stephen talks about in there is the war of art. Excuse me. And it's not about art per se or writing books or movie scripts or anything like that. It's about entrepreneurship. It's about creativity in any sense or guise. And what he's talking about is that there's always resistance. There's resistance to the fear of being judged, the fear of showing up, the fear of rejection, the fear of responsibility, the fear of ruin, the fear of like so many fucking fears, the fear of I'm not good enough for this, I can't do this, I've never done this before, it's hard, I'm shit at this. All of those thoughts that come in, they are keeping you small at 5 or 6 figures. If you want to get to 7 figures and build your 7 figure brand, you need to fucking show up like a gladiator. Okay, be a gladiator. And I often say this in my master classes, in terms of thought leadership, you have a serious set of skills that you've acquired over a very long career, skills that make you a nightmare for your fucking competitors, right? Taken from the movie, taken, complimentary of Liam Neeson, but you are a fucking badass. And if you want to step out as a thought leader and be seen as the only person for your ideal clients, you need to share that shit online. You need to share that shit on LinkedIn. In your website needs to come across, because if this is how you talk to your clients, that's how you need to show up online as well. Okay. Motivational rant over. Um, Another thing in terms of your thought leadership is social proof and specialization. Authority makes price irrelevant, right? So you become the obvious choice when you're an authority in your space. So one of my favorite go-tos from a positioning perspective is by a guy called Marty Newmeyer. So Marty was my mentor when I did the Level C brand specialist, excuse me, and Level C brand strategy certifications. Marty worked with Steve Jobs. Marty has worked with some fucking, oh, like if I listed them, you would know every single business. They're that big. But Marty's thing is about creating an onlyness concept. And in terms of creating an onlyness concept, what that means is, stop saying shit like I offer coaching. Stop saying stuff like, I'm an accountant. That's just fucking boring and it's too generic. So what you want to say is something along the lines of the methodology that you own and make that a little bit more interesting. For example, I have my Millionize method. I have my BMC method. And in having that, and Millionize is a fucking great name, if I do say so myself. And anybody I say, when you say the word Millionize, say it out loud now. I bet you it makes you smile because it's like it's fun to say as well, right? And anytime I say it to clients or to business friends, they always like, that's a great name. but it's coming up with a name like that. My Million Eyes Mastermind has a Million Eyes framework within it. There are things that we specifically talk about and cover. There's lots of questions and answers, but and there's supporting resources. There's a Million Eyes Vault. We have a Million Eyes CEO Day. Like I've created specific language around the methodology. So, and like I've literally gotten texts and we use Slack as a community method. Like one of my clients last year in Million Eyes sent a win into the channel to say, I have been millionized. So it's like Google, it's become a word that my clients use. And having a named methodology like that, that creates onlyness. Nobody else can copy that shit. It's yours. It becomes your intellectual property. Very often, when I'm working on brand story and messaging with people, I would say 99.9% of all of the brand stories that I've written for people, and I must have done over 100 at this stage, people don't tie a name to their system. They don't have a name for their system or plan or framework or methodology, whatever you want to call it, but give it a freaking name and make it memorable, make it really good. And when you build intellectual property, what happens is your frameworks, your acronyms, and your signature processes, that's what you're selling because clients buy your way of doing things. They're not just buying you, they're buying your way of doing things. And as you grow and scale your business, knowing what those frameworks are, having a signature process actually allows you to step back and let other people step in and deliver on that so that you don't have to. And that's a way to scale your business and your brand beyond multiple 6 or 7 figures. But you can't do that if your framework is tied to you or you haven't even named what your framework is. So naming that is powerful. Another thing that you can do on LinkedIn to really drive this home for people is to leverage client results. And what I mean by this is taking case studies or testimonials and using them to build your credibility because that will reinforce trust at scale. It's proof that your approach delivers unique, repeatable success. And when you can share that over and over, if you have client videos, if you video testimonials, if you have, like, I took a screenshot of that Slack message from my client to say he'd been millionized. I took a screenshot of the client who said this guy who wouldn't give her a job has now personally sought her out for coaching. I've taken a screenshot of that because that's social proof that I'm like, I'm not good at sharing this stuff myself. I have to admit, I'm like, I don't like to blow smoke up my own fucking ass. But this is the stuff that actually can help position you as more of a thought leader when you share it. And also, the things that other people say about you, people will believe more than what you say about yourself. So there is logic in doing this. It's not self-promotional in sharing it. Okay, I'm coaching myself here and doing this now. I need to do it more. So watch out for those things coming in the next couple of weeks in my content. So the other thing is that when you are sharing content like this, what you're doing is you're not just sharing valuable content, you're sharing visionary stuff. And that's a huge shift. It sounds tiny, but it's huge. And what I mean is it's not just sharing educational content. And educational content is definitely still worth sharing in case you're even questioning that. And no matter what level you're at, 6 or 7 figures, you need to be sharing educational content, but on its own, it's not enough. You need to be a little bit more provocative. You need to be challenging industry norms. You need to be sharing those opinions. You need to be leveraging polarizing viewpoints to become impossible to ignore. Like what you want to be doing is challenging best practices and creating debate, but backing it up with proof. So I've done this, if you like, in my own business because people often say, oh, the gurus say post 2 or 3 times a week. I say that's bullshit, and here's why. And I explain why. And in case you're wondering what it is, it's because I reckon that was originally created for company pages, not for personal brands. And the percentage of personal brands to company pages is significantly, the ratio is significantly bigger for personal brands. And with personal brands, what happens is, and with company brands, like from an engagement perspective and how the metrics all happen in the background on LinkedIn, you can post 7 times a week. Some of the LinkedIn influencers post as many as 14 to 21 times per week, right? And why do they do that? That's how many times the LinkedIn gurus are posting. And with the company page, yes, 2 to 3 times a week is enough. But when you post more on LinkedIn, especially if you're starting out and you're trying to figure out the strategy, a couple of things happen. First off, if you only post twice a week, that's only 104 bits of information to inform what your strategy is, whether your strategy is working, your content strategy, what you're doing in your business, whether it's aligned with your business goals, and how it's supporting your business goals in terms of return on investment and return on effort. If it's a case that that's not working for you and you're not getting the return on investment from LinkedIn, post more. Why? Because you'll have 365 bits of information compared to 104. You'll have more than 3 times more the amount of information by posting more, and that data will tell you what's working and what's not. So it literally has the data. You get data from the content once you stop, reflect, and review on it. And that allows you to plan, action, and reinvent or refine or review what you're going to do the next time round. It's fucking lean. If you've ever done a course on lean, this is a lean model. Now, the thing I always say with lean is it's missing empathy in relationships, but it's a way of making your LinkedIn shit work effectively, but smart. So basically, what I'm getting at is challenge what people are calling best practices and create debate around it. My debate is posting 2 to 3 times per week on LinkedIn is not enough, and the data backs it up, right? That's how you learn. That's how you get better. That's how you get a better return on investment. That's how you get a better return on effort. Second rant over. Okay. The third thing is creating demand for your approach and not just your service. Now, why this matters is because when people buy your way of doing things, sales become effortless. So when you're selling your unique perspective, what happens is instead of competing, what you actually become is the only viable option. Your methodology should be the best or the only way for your ideal client. And that allows you to design a high ticket ecosystem, whether that's courses, memberships, masterminds, consulting services around your brand. You can create all of those things and build them out so that you have clients who can come in at any stage of a product ladder and you always have something to offer them. And in doing that, that means you can have revenue coming in, you can diversify your revenue streams and have revenue coming in while you're fucking sleeping. It's a total no-brainer. But doing that and being very smart with how you do it and how you drive traffic back to your website, how you get people on your email list, and using LinkedIn to do that and to help you do that is really important. So, I think the other thing with this is that if you're going to sell anything that's more than €1,000, you need to have some brand authority. And my experience has been I can come on and sell something for €27, €97, €995, and people will buy it like that. But anything over a grand, it takes a lot more. I don't want to say it's harder to sell anything over a grand. It's not. I've sold things for 25 grand. I've sold things, I got a contract signed that was worth nearly 60 grand. There's stuff like that that I have going on in the background in my own business. But at the same time, from a trust perspective and an authority perspective, if somebody's not purchased anything from you ever before, the things that you can sell or promote you can convert them really quickly and easily if they're less than 1,000 has been my experience. I think beyond that, you need to give them more value, you need to have a bit more face time with them, and then from there they'll be open to paying you higher amounts. And that conversation or how you offer that doesn't need to be any more complicated or complex than that. It's just buyer psychology around proof and when they'll whip out their credit card, which is why I'm super excited to be studying a bit more about neuroscience and why these things happen. So on April 9th at 4:30 p.m., I have a new masterclass coming out. It is called Your Seven-Figure Business Model and How to Scale Without Burning Out. I'm going to be sharing more details around things like this, not specifically just for LinkedIn, but yes, for your personal brand and other things that you need to have, like repeatable, scalable systems within your business. If you're interested and you'd like me to send you a link so that you can attend that masterclass, I would love for you to come along. And even if you're just hitting your first six figures, still come along because it will help you think and picture bigger. And yeah, 9th of April, 4:30 p.m. That's Irish time. So it's GMT plus one. The clocks are changing this weekend. So yeah, it'll be GMT plus one. And next week, I will be showing up on LinkedIn Live again. Sorry, if you want to come, send me a message, call it Masterclass, and I'll send you the link so that you can register and attend. Next week, Friday at 1 p.m., I will be showing up here again. And I will be talking about why a lot of LinkedIn users are staying stuck at 10K months and how to break past it. So if that's you, make sure that you show up live and I will see you then.